Hi. So in this video, we're going to go over the excerpts for the cello auditions. And we are going to start with lesson 84. That's the etude, where we practice extended positions and the one shift. And then we're going to go over the melody, My Wild Irish Rose, where we primarily focus on bow control. But let's go ahead and start with that etude. So right away, let's just go ahead and talk about that first position on the C string. We're going to take our first position and extend it. We're going to leave our first finger rooted on the first tape, and then we take our second, third, and fourth finger and extend them. So the second finger will be on the second tape, third finger will be on the third, and our fourth finger is going to reach to that F sharp past the F tape. Let's go ahead and play it again a little bit slower. Let's talk briefly on that one shift on the A string, where you're going from an open A to second position, and then immediately playing an open A and going back to first position. The key here is to remember to shift during the open A. Now, this is what I call a blind shift, and sometimes those can be risky. But at the same time, just because this is in second position and there's no extensions, this makes it relatively easy. So all you have to do is remember, shift during the open A and know where your fingers are going. Your first finger is going to C sharp. Now let's go ahead and dive into the melodic excerpt. In this one, we're going to focus on the musicality. We're going to be controlling our bow speed and pressure and thinking about things like dynamics. And while there aren't required fingerings, we will talk a little bit about why some fingerings are very important to consider, especially when we're avoiding open strings. Here is the excerpt now. Let's go ahead and dive into the shift first. You want to make sure that when you are moving from first position to extended second, that you know where you're putting your first finger. And then when you go to put your other fingers down, remember this is extended position, so you have to stretch your second finger, just like we did with the C major scale, 3 octaves. Let's go ahead and see if we can slow that down and just focus on that part. But what happens when we don't stretch our fingers, don't extend them? Sounds wrong. So stretch that second finger, first finger rooted on C natural, second finger reaching for D, E with your fourth finger. Now let's look at another important aspect, and that is bow control. We want to be able to use as much bow as possible and adjust our speed and pressure according to the dynamics. The other thing I want you to pay attention to is where I choose to shift. I typically try to avoid open strings, and for the long notes it's nice to add a little bit of vibrato to give it that human touch. So let's go ahead and play through this again, and this time focusing on bow distribution and control. Now you might notice that I was using a lot of bow, especially on the long notes. I didn't use the whole bow for every single note, and when I shifted, it was to avoid open strings and give some of that vibrato. But I'm going to play that again, just that small sample, and this time I'm not going to shift at all to show that you can still create good tone using just your bow alone. Well, I hope that was helpful. Just remember to take your time on shifts, isolate them, practice the ascension and descension anytime you're shifting from one position to the next, and always remember to use as much bow as possible. Try to avoid open strings and just let the music speak. If you have any questions, feel free to ask Miss Ellington or myself, Mr. Connolly, and we look forward to seeing you at auditions.